Hello? Hello? Come in. Come in. Okay, so the Statue of Liberty gone. I don't, we'll deal with that. I don't know. That's a national news thing. That's not a Sega news thing. But yeah, that's the new intro, at least for now. I wanted something that lasted a little more than a couple seconds so I could, double check everything before we jump right in. But yeah, this is Sega News Bits Live. It is the occasional live video that we throw out there covering Sega news from the past few weeks to past few months, depending on when I actually drop one of these. But we got some cool stuff to talk about today. No Mario movie news. We don't have to deal with that. That's Nintendo's problem. We got our own movie. It's already out, and we have to wait a few years for the third one, so it's like stress-free over here. It's just like Zen in the Sega fan community. But I will be concluding the show with a very popular segment that, kids are talking about, teens, old people, everyone, every age group. It hits all demographics. That is, of course, Barry's Beef, or we're changing the name of it. I think we're going to change the name every single time it comes back. But I think it's a good beef this time out. But before we get to the beef, let's talk about the news from the past few weeks. So, as is the norm, I use SegaBits.com as my source. Now, I will admit we don't cover every single piece of Sega news. For example, we're not going to post every single time a Sonic app updates. We'll leave that for Sonic Stadium. That's their thing. But there is some cool stuff going on. So, first off, Big Elk, he is a recent writer, longtime reader, and Discord member. But he has been writing some very cool retro and indie-focused news articles. And what I like is that he not only posts the news, but he actually goes into a little detail. He writes a thing called an article. And articles are what we used to read back in the day. Now they're TikToks. That's actually what really threw me, is that the coverage of Sonic Frontiers is like TikTok coverage. Like, I saw TikTok news reports, and I was like, wow, I'm seeing more TikTok videos than I'm seeing like written articles. But there are some great Sonic Frontiers hands-on written articles out there, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, Big Elk, he posted this up. Unreleased Dreamcast game DD Planet online features finally running unofficially. So it's an unofficial, official, unreleased release. Yeah, it's a little all over the place, but Elk did a good job breaking it down here. I'm not going to read the article for you. I'm going to let him speak for himself, so you can click on over to SegaBits.com. There's a cool write-up. It tells you how you can get in on playing this unreleased online Dreamcast game legitimately online, unofficially. So, very cool stuff. Let's see. I mean, this video is going to run a little janky, but you can skip ahead here. You can see what here's what the gameplay looks like. Looks really fucking weird, huh? But don't you want to get on that? Yeah. So, the next bit of news, this is recent. This is breaking as of a few days ago, so I guess it's old news. This is big. So Sega is bringing back the soap shoes, the iconic shoes that Sonic wore in Sonic Adventure 2. Now, if you are an old school, in air quotes, gamer like me, you'd remember that when Sonic Adventure 2 was first really unveiled, we didn't have these shoes. It was Sonic's regular old Vanilla shoes. Well, actually, Vanilla is a character in the Sonic series, and she wears different shoes. So I guess it would be like, I don't know, would they say Vanilla? I guess they would. It's still a flavor. It's still a term. But yeah, Sonic's classic shoes were going to be in the game. In fact, Sonic Adventure 2, The Trial, was a bonus disc that came with Phantasy Star Online. That's, in my eyes, like one of the peak Sega releases was PSO and Sonic Adventure 2 Trial Disc. Like, I didn't know which one to play first when I got it. I think I played Sonic Adventure 2 The Trial a few times, and then I got into PSO, and I mean, the rest is history. But that Trial Disc, Sonic had his original shoes, and then in the lead up to the game, Sonic was given these shoes, which were official soap shoes. Now, if you know anything about Sonic shoe history, and I'll point behind my shoulder here, you can see the Puma shoe, or actually those aren't Puma shoes, those are, God, who is that, Reebok or something? But in any case, it's taken decades for there to be actual official releases of shoes like the shoes Sonic wears. And so I say that because Sonic was wearing real-world grinding shoes from the early 2000s, but they never actually released his shoes as a piece of merch, which befuddled me. And soap shoes now, I mean, I think they're still around, but they dropped the branding. Now they're just kind of like, when you see them, you know what they are. They don't need to call them soap shoes. And, maybe that's a good thing that they don't have heavy branding, because then they can bring these back. And what I really like about them is just like the detail. If you click in, let me see if we can click this. Yeah, there we go. Let's zoom in on that. Like, look at the detail of this. And I'm assuming this is all just very simple textures on, or actually I should say very detailed textures on a simple model. But it looks so nice. There's like wear and tear on them. Just super cool. And so, I mean, these are one of those cosmetics that I could see a lot of people, myself included, using for a majority of the game. Like, they just look so cool. And to be quite honest, like, I think we've moved beyond the era of redesigning Sonic drastically. So I think giving him new shoes is really a big thing. And Sonic Prime is a prime example of that. He's going to have special shoes. I assume that when he runs fast enough, he like breaks time and space, which is actually a plot point from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, where he had the time shoes. But going back to Frontiers, what I really hope is that the big thing that comes of this is that the game has tons of shoes for Sonic. Like, why not like have dozens of shoes from the history of the series? Let's throw in the movie shoes. Let's put in, as we have here in the comments from Sonic 100 Times or X, Sonic's Extreme Gear sneakers from Sonic Riders were also cool. Yeah, like, throw those in. Like, why not? Give us as many shoes as possible, because if you remember in Sonic Forces, one of the, I think, great elements of the game was all the customizable options for the avatar. Like, that was so cool that they threw in, a little bit of fan service with other Sega franchises. I do believe they even had, like, shoes that looked like the soap shoes, but they weren't, and they weren't on Sonic, I should say. But here they are on Sonic. Very cool. And what do you need to do to get these? You subscribe to a newsletter, which is the lamest thing ever. I love that newsletters are cool again. Like, there's kids going, oh, I need an email, and then they send me like information, but it's not on Twitter. That's so cool. Oh wow, it's like a website going to my email like once a month. That's probably how kids talk, right? I don't know. They go bet. I heard bet. Oh, massive W, man. Bet. Overwatch 2. Oh man, school sucks. This isn't news. This is olds. But every so often I'll see these little things up on the Twitters, and it'll catch my interest. And in this case, so the game ESPN NFL Football, which is also known as, I do believe, ESPN, I have the cover art here, 2K4. So essentially, after NFL 2K3, Sega started to use ESPN branding, and so they became ESPN Football 2K5, etc. But the first ESPN football game was this one. Alternatively, it's Sega Sports, Visual Concepts, 2K4, all that stuff. But what's really cool is hidden within this game are a bunch of Sega characters. And if you take a look at this, so they've got Axel Stone, Beat, Kage, I can never say his name, Maru, Jackie Bryant, Taka Arashi, Jeffrey McWild, Axel from Crazy Taxi, and they call him Crazy Axel to differentiate between Axel Stone. I don't think his name's actually Crazy Taxi, Axel, whatever. Ryo Hazuki, Wolf Hockfield, and Combo from Jet Set Radio. And they're all males because the ESPN football games only have male players, so makes sense. But you can see here, you can unlock these guys by doing some real crazy stuff. I don't think I'd ever be able to do this because I'm terrible at football games, both in real life and in video games. But as you can see, like Ryo Hazuki, 100 interceptions. Like, look at these crazy things you need to do to get some of these characters. Wolf Hockfield. And I see a football fan just gave us a thumbs down. So, thanks. I can see those. They hide them, but I can see them. I see you motherfucker. But I picked this up because it's a couple Jet Set Radio characters in a NFL game. And from what I've seen, like the way they depict them, they look pretty awful. They don't look like the characters, but you get a little headshot, you get some stats. It's cool. I like it. Going back to the other bits of news we have here. All right, so I guess the big story is that Shenmue the Animation Season 2 has been canceled, and Season 1 has been delisted from the Adult Swim website. Now, what does that mean? Well, we got another thumbs down. I love it. Man, I can see why they remove these, because it hurts. It's like someone walking up to you on the street, just backhanding you. But in any case, Shenmue the Animation has been seemingly canceled. And what does that mean? Well, it means that at least the production side of things from Adult Swim, which is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, will not be working on the show, which means the executive producer is no longer attached to it. Now, it doesn't mean like Sega or Yu Suzuki lost any license. It doesn't mean that they can't make it in the future, but it does mean that they lost a large source of, I believe, the funding for the series, as well as possibly, some of the production support. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of it, and, if in the comments you know the production side of this. I do believe, though, that the show was produced in Japan and in America. I could be wrong, but I do know that the American voice acting was exclusive to the Adult Swim website, and that's gone. And so if we're talking lost media, I don't think you can find the English dub of this now. It's all the Japanese dub on Crunchyroll, which also helped, I believe, bankroll the series. And so I think you have a lot of different parts to it. You have YSNet, or Yu Suzuki's company. You have Sega. You have Crunchyroll, and then you have Adult Swim, which is Warner Brothers Discovery. And we have, oh, hey, look at that. Shenmue Dojo is in the chat, and they say TMS Japan animated it. Thanks for that. And I actually have on hand the Bayonetta Bloody Fate anime. And if I do recall, and the same thing happened with the Sonic OVA, I don't know if it's a Japanese thing, but they would call them Project. So Project Sonic was the Sonic OVA. I do believe this one actually is called like Project Bayonetta, is the Bayonetta OVA. And then this was called Project Shenmue. And so, I don't know, I just thought I'd throw that out there. But yeah, the English voiceover was exclusive to the Adult Swim website, so that's inaccessible now. The only way we could get it is if it appears on a Blu-ray release, which I'm, fingers crossed happens. I do know that the voice of Goro Mihashi actually responded to some of our videos and tweets when we were doing the weekly after shows for Shenmue the Anime. And what does this mean? Well, it means that Season 2 is not happening. Was a Season 2 going to happen? Well, apparently they were gearing up for it, and the Shenmue anime had enough of an audience to deem necessary or worthy to make a Season 2. What would a Season 2 be? It would have been the events of Shenmue 3. I don't think they would have moved beyond that. I think it probably would have been a shorter season, maybe 4 to 6 episodes, because, considering they covered Shenmue 1 in less than half the series, and then they spent 4 episodes on the 4 Wudu, means that I could totally see them covering Shenmue 3 in 3 to 4 episodes. Maybe the worst case scenario would be that the parties who worked on this outside of Adult Swim and Warner Brothers Discovery, decides to maybe make a direct-to-video movie. I mean, I don't know if that's still a popular thing. I know, again, bringing it up, Bayonetta did it, but, it's 2022 now. It's the world of streaming. So maybe, fingers crossed, we get a truncated movie that wraps up at least the plot of the third game, and then that at least leads us into Shenmue 4, should it ever happen, which I think it will. Let's see, Shenmue Dojo has a few more things, so I'll check in on them. So home release is still being discussed, apparently. Yeah, I think that would be leaving money on the table, because Shenmue fans, I don't know the sales figures for some of the recent Shenmue stuff, but I do know that if they put a large... Like, for example, there was that vinyl collection that went out that I think was over the top, to be quite honest. Like, the soundtrack for Shenmue 3 is fine, but is it worthy of, like, a massive vinyl collection? I don't know. But, hey, people paid for it. People wanted it, so why not? Like, Shenmue fans will throw money at Shenmue things. So if you just put a Blu-ray disc out there, I think the sales figures would meet expectations, for sure. I don't think there's more culty stuff going out there on Blu-ray disc that still gets sales. So I don't think it's an issue there. Who would they work with? Maybe, I don't know, who is this? Like Funimation? Who did this release? I don't know, Gonzo. I'm talking about the Shenmue one. But, we'll see. There's a lot of different publishers out there. Sega's not new to putting anime out on Blu-ray. So, again, fingers crossed that we get a home video release. Fingers crossed that we at least get, like, a direct-to-video and direct-to-streaming movie that at least covers the third game. And last little bit here from Shenmue Dojo. They went, ooh, maybe that's like a Halloween. No, they went, ooh, we interviewed the executive producer. They wanted to do half a season on Shenmue 3 and then the rest beyond it. So, yeah, that makes sense. Half season. And maybe even like, this is no slam on Shenmue 3, but like, bring it up a little few levels, like add some more stuff. From the story I got from Shenmue 3 didn't really excite me. But then again, the Shenmue anime actually took elements from the Shenmue 1 and 2 and, like, elevated them. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, bring in side characters, make them do more. If I'm remembering correctly, one of the characters, like, stole a forklift in the anime. I forgot who it was that stole the forklift. But that was crazy. I liked that a lot. So, we'll see. Another bit of news here is that, yes, Sega Bits did attend EGX London 2022. We did go hands-on with Sonic Frontiers, and I love the Royal We, because I have never touched the game, but I'm going to cough. 1 second. I'm so excited. I'm just full of phlegm. Akiat, our writer, longtime writer, in fact, he's one of the founding writers of Sega Bits. He went hands-on with the game. He wrote a massive retrospective. I don't know what we call this. Preview. That's what we call it. And head on over to segabits.com. Give it a read. It's very good. It's very concise. Overall, he is positive about the game. I think he's feeling the best about the open world elements. And he actually ends it by saying that this could be one of the most exciting Sonic games in decades. And knowing Aki, where he's coming from with that is that this isn't like some budget title. This isn't some game that's coming out for $39.99 like, Sonic Forces was. It doesn't have every stage feeling kind of like a mobile game. Like, again, Sonic Forces kind of felt like the levels were so short. It was very mobile, like little bites. But this game, from what he saw, he really enjoyed. And I'm looking forward to it too. I don't know if there will be a advanced review from Sega Bits, just because the way Sonic, or the way Sega's structured right now, they have separate PR agencies. So we work with an external PR agency with Sonic, and they can be very hit or miss. The Origins review code actually came the day the game released, and then I and my family had bout after bout of like sickness and COVID. I didn't get to review it yet, and I'm planning to review it. But then, when I was about to start the review, the update came out. So what was I going to do? Like slam the game for Tails not functioning correctly when they fixed it? So I'm kind of back to square one on that. I'll review Sonic Origins. Will I review Sonic Frontiers in advance? I don't know. We'll see. I'm not allowed to talk about it if I am, which is kind of weird. Well, it makes sense. I don't want to gloat. They don't want kids gloating like I'm a kid. And the last few bits of news before we get to the beef, there was a teaser trailer released for Sonic Prime. Of course, this news is now a couple weeks old, so we're not going to get too into it, but you can check that out. It's on Netflix's YouTube page, which is kind of funny. Netflix is on YouTube. Well, I guess they're not competitors, really. And then there's a few new Nintendo Switch Online games that you can check out. Again, not too exciting there. And then finally, we've got some merch. So I want to show these things off. First off, we have an eBay find that I got. This is the third can of Sonic the Hedgehog pasta that I own. And what makes this one different? Well, I have the plain can. I have the plain pasta with meatballs. This is the original pasta with meatballs. This is when it was brand new. You can see it there. And there was a game piece on the back, which was really exciting. So when I got this, I was kind of afraid of ripping it, but it just kind of fell right off. So you can see here the game piece, and there are multiple game pieces that you could collect. I believe there were 6 of them. So this is number 3 of 6. I don't know if this has ever actually been seen. Like, not many people document the game piece, because what typically people do is they tear it off, they play the game, then they throw it away. Now, what I find interesting is that there's like nothing to scratch off. It's just white. But from what I looked, this was a third prize winner, I think, which is the default. I think everyone's a third prize winner if you lose. And that means that I can receive 4 arcade tokens at Aladdin's Castle, Cyber Station, Putt Putt, Accelerama, or Timeout Spaceport. So if any of those arcades are still functioning and nearby, I can go over and pick them up. And yes, the Mug Gang is sounding off in the comments here. So here we have Segabit's Discord, Patreon, and all around. It's like the trifecta. Probably the biggest Segabits fan ever. Sonic is here. So I put a coffee mug. I actually scanned this, cleaned it up, and I put a coffee mug up on Redbubble. It lasted all but 30 minutes before it was pulled. And Sonic bought the only one before it was pulled. Even I didn't get one. But hey, I can drink out of this. It's empty. So, ooh, there's some. I never even looked inside. There's like stuff in here. Cool. Someone else's tissue. That's cool. That's exciting. As far as newer merch, this just dropped. So you can't buy this anymore. But this came from Limited Run Games. They had some Toe Jam and Earl merch. Now this one is called Tabletop Remix, and it is a card and, like, I guess pop-up little game piece version of Toe Jam and Earl that you can play on a table. I haven't busted it open yet. I don't have like friends who like to play board games, so a lot of my board games are actually still sealed. But I'll crack this open sometime. The other bit is this. This is the official soundtrack. It comes in a massive clamshell box, which I do believe they use for their like Neo Geo releases, but they also make like massive Sega Genesis game boxes for it. Who else? Streets of Rage 4 had one. Scott Pilgrim had one with the Sonic Adventure inspired art. And inside is a, just for display only, Genesis cart for Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove. It also comes with the soundtrack here on CD. And then also there was a trading card set, which did not come in this, but it was sold alongside it. So cool little bit of merch there. Also an eBay purchase of mine. This was a big one. So this is De La Jet Set Radio. This is the second Japanese version to release. I believe it was only available as an online exclusive through the, I think it's called a Drycast service, where a lot of like games were reprinted or special editions were sold. Now this game did come in a special edition in a larger box with a t-shirt. It was also sold separately. But the thing was, it's always sold for like $100 or something, and I just didn't want to spend that much. I got this one for 60. Very good price in my opinion. What I love about this version of the game, and you can see inside too, it has a very beautiful like color printed label, and then some art I've never seen before of Professor K. So that's kind of neat. But what I love about this is it's almost like the best of every region. So it has all the new levels from the Western releases, but then it also has all of the Japanese voices. But then if your console is set to like America or UK or whatever, it'll default to English dialogue within the game. You don't have to do any settings. But the characters still speak Japanese, and they retain their Japanese names. So notable characters like Korn, Bisu, I'm trying to remember who else. There was, I think Soda was Slate, and then there was Piranha, who was, I can't recall off the top of my head, but they default to the original names, which I love because I've never liked the name Mew, and Bisu is one of my like favorite Jet Set Radio characters. I actually have a Jet Set Radio Future Bisu that like is like a wall sticker. It's massive. And I actually, Sega Memories blog I worked on way back when, I actually visited the company that cut these out. I turned out I like worked 2 miles away from them. So I just over a lunch break, I visited these two guys who worked out of a basement in Philly, printing out Jet Set Radio assets, like Jet Set Radio Future assets on massive scale. And they had assets that I don't think anyone else has. I think, again, lost media. Like, imagine every single Jet Set Radio character in like special poses meant for merch, but have never been used outside of this like wall graphics company, and they don't make them anymore. But that's really cool. Another little piece of merch that I picked up from a local guy at a toy show. He was making these little arcade marquees. It's just cardboard, like a, printed at home, but it's a nice quality. He did Outrun. I also got his Star Wars trilogy Atari ones, and then I also got the Ninja Turtles fighting game. I did a video just recently unboxing these. These are very cool. They are from Moby Fox. They sent these over to us, or to me specifically, to review, so you can check out the video on the channel. I love them. They're great. And a little funny fact is that the guy who oversees the design of these, I actually ran into him with my car. No, I ran into him on a contracting job, like 6 or 7 years ago. And he heard me talking to someone. This is like at a massive marketing agency. It's actually the agency that did Microsoft Xbox Connect, all the marketing for that. But I was working on PowerPoint pitch decks for companies like Raid, like the bug spray. And what was I working on? My Big Fat Greek Wedding too, like real weird shit. But I was talking to someone, and he overheard me, and he said, "Do we know each other?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm kind of new to the area. I've never worked here before." He said, "Your voice sounds familiar." And I said, "Do you listen to Sega podcasts?" And he goes, "Yeah." Turns out he listened to Swing and Report Show back in the day, and he now he's written a few gaming books. And so, long story short, he's now working at Moby Fox, and he's doing video game brands. And so he reached out, and I reviewed these. So very cool stuff. Highly recommended. Also, as far as game releases, Bayonetta has been released physically, and I'm very excited about that. They use the cover art that if you check out the Bayonetta 1 art book, they wished that this was going to be the cover art in America, but they didn't go with it because, the booty. But looks like they won their argument, so this is back on North American shelves, booty and all. And what I really like on the back is they have this tagline, Bayonetta shows her roots. And, that works out 3 ways. So, obviously, her hair, her roots. The other one is that the game itself has flashbacks to Bayonetta's origins. And then it's also Bayonetta's first game. So, I dig that from a marketing perspective. It's nice. So now we have Bayonetta, we have Bayonetta 2, and then Bayonetta 3, the Trinity Edition, is releasing at the end of the month. We're going to get alternate cover art for both of these, as well as the third game, so you can put them on the shelf. They'll look beautiful. There's going to be an art book with that. Also, a bit of news is that they replaced the Bayonetta voice actress. I don't know how I feel about that. Some people are saying, oh, she was busy, but she was also, the original voice actress was like tweeting about it months or even, I think, years in advance. So something's going on. Maybe it's like a union, non-union thing. I don't know. Now, before we get to beefing, or whatever we call it, let's check the comments here. What are your thoughts on a potential N64 Mini? Well, that's Nintendo, so I mean, I don't really have any thoughts. I don't know. I go for it. I want a Saturn Mini. I want a Dreamcast Mini, but you know what? Genesis Mini Model 2 is coming, so I will take what they throw at me. So here we go. You guys ready? Let's do this. There we go. That's the sizzling sound. Uh-oh, meat sizzling. That can mean one thing. It's beefing with Mr. Barry. So what's my beef? Well, if you are new to this segment, it's me throwing out little complaints that I have about Sonic and Sega and all sorts of things. And my complaint this week is Sonic the Hedgehog merch collaborations, specifically clothing collabs. Now, there is this, I guess, sub-brand or subgroup within Sonic Branding who works with high-profile fashion lines. And they've been doing this a lot recently. They've got those little gold pendants with, like, fake gems and diamonds on them. They've got clothing. Now, in the past, there's been, like, little social media things where it's like, hey, are you an influencer? Do you want to review this stuff? Reach out to us. And I'd reach out. They never really pick us. They pick other people, though, so good, more power to them. But I honestly, in good faith, I cannot news this stuff. I mean, they'll throw me the PR emails, but, like, I just feel kind of dirty, like, telling kids, hey, look, there's $98 shorts. There's $48 hats. There's $38 tote bags. Or worst of the worst is, like, this one. Look at this. I mean, I'm sure the shirt material is nice. But $60 for a Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirt that looks like something you got at Five Below? Like, okay, again, print quality might be nice. Shirt quality might be nice. I'm wearing a shirt right now that's from the State Fair that's actually a very nice quality. It was $20, though. It wasn't 60. And I don't know. I feel like they are, you know, working with these high-profile brands to, I don't know, like suck money out of people who just want some nice classic Sonic merch, but these prices are just too much. They're ridiculous. There was also the Stray Rats. I don't like the ones. I mean, to be fair, I think these designs are kind of top tier in terms of what they're putting out there, just because I don't like the ones where they collab and it's like some weird shit where like Sonic's eyes are like, I don't know, like question marks, and it's like, oh, it's because that brand, everyone has a question mark for their eyeballs. I think those are stupid. The Stray Rats one are a big example. Like, I don't like rats. Like, I don't like mice. Like, they infest things. Like, why? And I like Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't like Stray Rats. Like, why am I going to buy merch that has like crossover with this weird brand I've never heard of for like vermin? Who wants that? Rats? Nah. Now let's compare. So we've got $48 hats, $98 shirts. Now let's jump over to a little designer clothing company called Hot Topic. Look at this. This is awesome. Look at that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 t-shirt. Look at how nice that is. I actually might buy that. $11. Look at this one. Don't Stop. And it's got Sonic and Eggman doing like this hella cool pose. Like, I love that piece of art there that they've been using for classic Eggman. $16. Look down here. You just got, oh, look at this one. This is nice. So this is a two-sided shirt. You get the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 logo on the front. You get the huge-ass cover art on the back. It's actually more art. And then look at this. Oh, they want me to spin to win. I can get discounts. Look at that. Now, to be fair, the Rowing Blazers website did throw a 10% off code at me, but that's like sales tax. But looking down here, like look, these are cool. Like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 logo shirt. This one's cool. Summer Squad girls shirt. Life in the Fast Lane with Tails. I got no complaints. These are awesome. Sonic the Hedgehog. Look at this one. Cool. Come on. Like Stray Rats, they can't pull a design out of their ass like this. Like, look at that. He's doing the little thing. Was he gonna flip some web? I love that. And it's got like Japanese. It says 91 Sonic. Look at that. That's actually pretty dope. That's massive W. Bet. But yeah, like, you know, my beef is these clothing collabs that Sega's been doing with Sonic that just like charged out the ass, and just I'm done with it. I don't want to news that. Like, you can send me the press releases, but I'm not going to news it. Someone else can news it. It's not like I'm the only voice at Sega Bits or in Sonic or Sega fandom, but it's nasty to me. Same sort of thing with the first 4 figures statues that they put out there. They've got like payment plans. They're charging, you know, upwards to $300, $400 for these statues. And they're, you know, largely targeting, you know, not just adult fans like me, but like kids. I'm seeing people in their like teens and 20s who can, you know, just get a credit card now, and they're like, oh, cool, $300? I'll put that on a charge card. I'll go for that monthly payment system. You should not do a payment plan for a statue of Shadow the Hedgehog. You just shouldn't. And to be fair, they've put out some nice vinyl statues recently that I 100% endorse. I think they're very nice. They're under $100. Quality's great. But just these designer Sonic things, just, they're not doing it for me. Not at all. And, you know, my personal thing is don't support them. My fingers are crossed, though, for Sega to continue to allow stores like Hot Topic and even the Sega Shop to put out affordable t-shirts. It would really suck if they like make a intentional drought in the market so that you cannot find like affordable Sonic shirts, and then you're like, well, I guess I have to do Rowing Blazers and Stray Rats and Bored Apes and whatever the hell else it's called, like whatever. But let's end on a kind of a cute note. Look at this shirt. Look how flippin' cute that is. It's Amy Rose at a carousel. And that's $17. That's well worth it. Well worth it. You know what? There is actually one last bit of news that I did not mention. I just wanted to talk about this. It's not a beef, so the beef is over. There's that sizzle. But I just wanted to show this. So a little weird bit of news that's been kind of getting some Sonic fans happy or angry, depending on who you are. The official Sonic the Hedgehog website removed all mentions to characters' ages. So for the longest time, Sonic was 15 years old, sometimes 16. You know, it's always been kind of around there. But it looks like moving forward, Sonic characters will not have ages, which is, in my opinion, great, because a lot of the arguments I get with over Sonic canon with people is they're like, well, it's impossible for this to occur because Sonic was 15 and then it was his birthday and now he's 16. And in the classic games, I played a game and in some sub-menu it said he was 16. So how is classic Sonic older than normal Sonic? Well, I have a theory about time travel, and none of that anymore. Sonic's a teenager, Tails is younger than him, Eggman is older than him, Amy might be around Sonic's age, Cream's a little girl, Vanilla's her mom, Shadow's really the only one with like an age, which is like, what, 50 years old? And like, we're good. You know, we don't need to start doing like a Star Wars timeline of characters' ages and getting bent out of shape. Like, as a hardcore Star Wars fan myself, like, I've got all them, you don't even see it, but there's all this Star Wars shit up here in front of me. The biggest thing people get bent out of shape over is, well, Obi-Wan Kenobi looks pretty old in A New Hope, but it's 20 years after Revenge of the Sith, and he's, you know, he looks kind of young there. And, you know, like, you want that with Sonic moving forward? I don't want Sonic, like, being 15 in the year 2045, and we're talking about, like, oh, the timeline clearly states that Sonic has been doing all of these games over the course of one Mobian year. So, who knows? But I think it's a good thing. I think they have a plan moving forward. I'm dead certain that Ian Flynn is going to be addressing more things in the near future. I think Mobius may or may not become a thing. I think, what is the other thing? He teased something happening. I think humans are coming back. There was that human we saw in that piece of art way back when the first Tales tube went out. Remember that woman? Anyway. But that pretty much does it. As far as upcoming shows, there is a Tournament of Legends Sega Talk coming out. If you don't know what that is, it's the high voltage gladiator fighting game from the Wii era, 2010. Weird ass game. We talk about it for about an hour. That show's going out. Actually, it's up there right now on the Patreon, or you can check it out next week on our YouTube channel. Also, there is a exclusive Sega Bits reveal of a piece of merch. I believe we are the first to see it and unveil it tomorrow morning. It's actually back there somewhere. Can you see it? I hid it. It's somewhere, but you're not going to see it. So that's going out tomorrow morning. The Swing and Report show will be coming back. It's been on a bit of a hiatus just because, I don't know, I haven't been feeling up to it, but I'm starting to feel it again. Weather's getting cooler. I'm getting happier again. So I'd really like to have some, fan game folks on. I'd like to have, there's this guy who wrote a book, a fictional book about a kid who wanted a Sega Genesis or something, or a Master System. So I'm going to look into that. He wants to talk to us. Me, I guess. And then in November, and I need to start booking hotel rooms and flights, there is Sonic and Sega Fan Jam, and I am apparently hosting a few panels there with Virtua Fighter and Shenmue voice actors. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. I'm looking forward to fall and winter. I think this is it. This is our year. Sonic Frontiers, all that good shit. And then later today we can laugh about Mario's flat ass and, talk about Chris Pratt. And it's not our problem, it's Nintendo fans. So without further ado, we'll see you next time on Sega News Bits Live. I'm Barry, and remember,